Guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the details on how to actually cut this blazer you can see right here. So this blazer has some details, and the major details here is the overlap that we have here. We have the built up neck collar, and we have the welt pockets, then we have the blazer sleeves. But in this video I'm going to be focused on the built up neckline collar, then the overlap here you can see on this blazer. So if this looks like what you want to learn, please make sure you keep on watching this video. So in case it's your first time actually seeing this face, my name is Ini. I was a self-taught fashion designer for a long time before I won my scholarship to my fashion academy just recently. So please subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram so that you get to see more of me. Without saying too much, let's just get right into the video. And before I forget, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. It's absolutely free to like this video. It's free to subscribe to this channel. Please do this for me.
So guys, this is the pattern I've already drafted for this blazer, and then I'm going to make some adjustments to the neckline and creating the overlap. So one very important thing you need to know is that when you are making an overlap blazer, you want to make sure that you have measured at least the person's princess measurement divided by 2. So in my case, my princess is 7, so my extension is 3.5 inches. Make sure it is not more than that. So that's just fine when you want to create overlap. So if the person's princess is 8, you're going to mark 4 inches before you start taking your blazer measurements. So with me here, I have a piece of paper I'm just going to attach to the neckline of this blazer to make my adjustments. So think of this first line as the natural neckline point, and anything higher than that is going to stand up across the neckline. I'm going to attach a picture so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So my normal standard neckline measurement is 3 inches by 3 inches. So the width obviously is 3 inches. As you can see, I put the tape there so you get to understand what I'm talking about. So now this is the picture we're working with, and this is what the collar looks like. So the first thing I want to do before doing anything at all is to decide how high I would like the extension on my neck to be. Just take note that the higher the amount you use, the higher the neckline is going to be on your shoulder. So in this case, I used about 2.5 inches. And to actually extend this neckline, what you want to do is to come to the width point, that's that 3 inches point, and you go in by half of an inch, just half of an inch, just so that it's not too tight on the neckline by the time you're done stitching. So just extend the neckline. So now I have 3.5 inches as the neckline, and it is from that 3.5 inches point I'm going to place my ruler in a slant position to extend the neckline. So the way I'm going to rule this now is in a way that it goes up, just following the natural shape of the neck. So it's after creating this slant line now that I'm going to decide how high I want my extension to be. And trust me, for a normal human being, it shouldn't be more than 3 inches. In this case, I used 2.5 inches and it came out just well. So you should be using between 1.5 to 2.5 inches, and that's going to give you what you want, except you're going for a really exaggerated design. So the next thing after doing that is to take note of the neckline. So this neckline now, I took 5 inches as the neck point, that's the neck depth, where the overlap is going to cross from. So these things are actually very easy. You just need to check out what you're working with and do exactly that. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to extend the waistline on this, because that's where the extension from the neckline is going to stop before I create the other slant you can see on the blazer. So one more thing you need to just take note of when creating an overlap is think of that center line, that's the actual center of your body, as the center. Take it as anything you do outside this line is going to be the overlap, meaning it's going to cross over the center of the body going over to the other side. I really hope this makes sense. This is quite advanced, and if you're watching this video, I want to assume that you know how to sew already. So the next thing I did was just mark my 2.5 inches on that neckline, and now I'm going to create a slant to meet the waist point. So I took my pattern master, then I just used it to freestyle this, looking at the picture I was working with to guide me. So these things are just, like I said, it just depends on what you're working with. You can do it, you can clean it, you can retry. Just make sure it gives you what you want. So now make sure that this built up neckline point passes the neckline, the neck deep, that the neck depth I want. So you can see I first connected it to that neck depth so that it doesn't go past that point. If you don't take note of your neck depth, it might become too wide in a way that you do not want. So this is what I did, and I came back to the neck, built up neckline, and I tried to curve it back again so that it's a bit more covered. Like I said, you just need to do what works for you at this point. So after doing that, I had to smoothen it out so that I'll get the new line I'm working with. And by doing that, the first part of the overlap, that's the upper part of the overlap, is created. It's really that simple. So the next thing I need to now decide is how I want it to slant over towards the center of the body. So you look at that picture, you see that the slant goes close to the princess line, but not up to the princess line. So one thing about these things is you just need to take note of the positioning of the body, and these things would help you to really understand how to do this thing, especially when you're working with different sizes. So now the thing I did was to go to the actual center of my blazer. Then I went in by about 2 inches. My princess line is 3.5 inches. And I went in by 2 inches. This means it's not going to get up to my princess line. You just need to take note of these little things so that you don't go and do something that is either too open or too close. So now I just created the slant to get to that point, and it's basically that easy. So this means that when I'm cutting one part of the blazer, I'm going to cut off this part. But you really need to take note that not the two front pieces would have this slant. If you make that mistake, you'd sew something entirely different. And if you're doing it for a client, you just do what I ordered versus what I got. So one piece is going to have the slant and another piece is going to be cut straight, like the way the pattern is. So I'm going to cut now and show you what I really mean. But before then, don't forget that when you are creating a built up neckline, it doesn't stop at just adjusting the front. So I'm going to adjust the back as well, the neckline at the back area. So this was me still explaining that you should not make the mistake of cutting the both front pieces to have this slant that gets to that princess point. If you do that, you're going to cut something entirely different. So this is the back of the pattern, and I just came back to get a different paper as well to extend the back neckline. So I took note of how many inches I extended the front by, and then I went to the back area as well. So this is the back pattern, and I simply took the 3.5 on the back neckline as well. Don't forget, we are now working with 3.5. So after taking the 3.5, I simply went up by about 2.5 inches. That's the same amount I took at the front. Take note of the fact that I'm also going to slant this marking I'm making. It doesn't go straight. The body is not like, it doesn't go straight because it has to slope and align with the neck. So when I did that, I simply extended the line, and as you can see, I'm using the curved part because the line is not straight. So I used the curved part to connect the 2.5 that I went up by to meet the neck width. So after doing that, I also used the curved ruler to create a slant to meet the center back of the pattern. So whatever I had there, I just reduced it by like 1/2 inch Yes, because you don't want the back of the neckline to be straight. You want it to have a natural curve going down at the center back. So after doing that, I just used my free hand to connect it, giving it a very slight slope like this. So I just used my pattern master to actually perfect the slant I was making there, and that's it. After doing this, I created the slant for the back bodies like this. And then one important thing after drafting your built up neck collar is to make sure you smoothen everywhere so that you don't have any point that is, giving this sharpness. You want to make sure everything is blended and it's just looking like following the natural curve of the body. So the last thing you need to do here is to take your tape, place it across like this, and ensure that the figure you get at the front is the same figure you get at the back. So from the tip of the front neckline, I simply placed my tape. You can see that I'm still adjusting, trying to make everything align with a very smooth curve. So I placed my tape like this, and whatever I got there, I took note of it. Then I went to the back bodies to also repeat the same process. It's very important to do this because by the time you're joining, if you have one part longer than the other, you're going to run into trouble. So it will mean that you'll be cutting off the actual body measurements. So once you're done with this, the pattern drafting is complete. So what will be left is to actually cut out the pieces. And for the cutting of the pieces, every other thing is going to be normal apart from the center front pieces that will have two different kinds of cutting. So just take note of how I'm going to cut this and you're going to get the gist. So from the center, from the waist point where we have the first overlap, it's going to be the same for both pieces. So before I forget, please make sure you add 1/2 inch as well before you cut out your pieces. So the 1/2 inch is so that by the time you are stitching, you would not cut short your measurements and reduce the height of your built up collar. So I repeated the same process at the back, and that's just all about that. So for the cutting, this is what it looks like. You need to take note of the fact that one part, that's the left part, would have it depends on how you want to position it. So one part should have the slant. So you're going to cut out the normal pattern first before you now cut out the slant. If you make the mistake of cutting the two, you're going to have a different shape. If you cut the two having the slant, you're going to have a different shape. So make sure one is normal, full pattern before you now cut it out to get the other slants that goes towards the princess line. So this is what I mean. I placed this pattern just to make you understand better. So also, can you see? You can see that this other one that is under does not have this slant. I've cut out the full pattern first before I now cut out that slant that goes towards the princess line. Another thing you need to make sure you avoid is you don't cut wrong sides, two right sides of one pattern. You need to avoid that mistake. So when you cut one part, make sure you're facing it facing right sides before you cut the other pattern, so that you don't have two right sides for one part, for maybe the left part or the right part, depending on how you mix it up. I don't know if I've been able to make sense, but I feel like I've been saying a lot. But if you take your time to really watch this video, you'd understand everything I said. And like I said, this is quite advanced. It's expected that you know how to sew before you watch this tutorial. So thank you very much for watching this video till this point. If you learned one thing, just a thing from this video, please make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And one more thing is that when you're cutting the center front pieces, make sure the lining for it is the same fabric. Make sure you're using the same fabric for it. Thank you guys for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.